Uh, so, all right, round three. Sorry, has to be a again. These are basically just replays. My this is where I had my technical difficulties. Is the first time I'm actually running the screen capturing software on my Alienware that I just got. Um, and I'm able to do MTGO and everything at the same time now that I got the processing power. So I had to on the fly change some settings and adjust some computer settings for everything to work. And this is where the hiccup happened, and I like pretty much lost everything. But it's just red deck wins, which is not too hard to go over. The red deck wins matchup against Zoo has never been favorable. It's always been pretty unfavorable, to be honest with you. But there is a major difference between red deck wins as of today than as of prior to Dragons coming out, as of when Treasure Cruise was around. The one that we're looking at right now is about a Naya colored deck. I don't know if this one specifically is Naya colored, but I'm just talking about red deck wins in general. Is a Naya colored deck. It's Naya Burn. And they're more or less they're not Zoo, they're Burn, but they're using upwards to 8 Skullcracks. By 8 Skullcracks, I mean 4 commands and um, 4 commands and 4 Skullcracks. They're also running things like Boros Charm and Lightning Helix, Searing Blazes, and if you count on Eidolon the Great Revels, these all if you count all these things, you'll realize there's actually a lot of converted to mana cost spells in their deck. So they're no longer the decks they're not no longer the burn decks that are running 18, sometimes 17 lands and a bunch of bolts. They are trying to be a little bit more resilient because hate is everyone knows they're a real deck now, and so they need to hate against them. So it's not like there's very much mystery in that fact. So they have to actually fight against this hate now. It doesn't necessarily mean that these decks are better. That they're running a lot more sort of like main board hate. It means in some cases that they're worse. If they get the wrong anti-hate, they can't win. If they get the right anti-hate, then they win. But Burn has about a 50% matchup. It either wins or it doesn't. Um, and they're slower now because they're, again, like I said, the 2 converted mana cost. They're also a little bit more painful mana base, so it went from an 80-20 or 80-20 not our favor to suddenly now it's 60-40 not our favor, which is a lot closer. I opt to keep this hand. I know that it's a pretty good hand. I don't know that it's Burn yet. And my reasoning for it was I can get a Curd Ape. Curd Ape will still block. When I recognized that he was probably on Burn, I put out the Curd Ape. Curd Ape will be able to block a Goblin Guide, and that's something that's worth risking out. Following that, after he Searing Blazed me again, these 2 converted mana cost spells, I was able to cast the Tarmogoyf, and Tarmogoyf was going to be able to stick around. Tarmogoyf is really good in this matchup. They very quickly put sorcery and instant and land and creature in the graveyard. So he ends up becoming a force that they can't really kill, and will eventually kill them, as well as block their stuff if they have to. I opt not to cast the Finks here, because I don't want to lose 2 life to gain 2 life. I'd rather gain 2 life. I still have a bolt that I can use if they put something out there like a Goblin Guide or an Eidolon the Great Revel. I can still bolt it. So it's not like completely dead. He's got the 2 mana open. I'm assuming that he's got that 2 mana open for Skullcrack. Although he can Boros Charm. I don't know what happens here if he just lets it go or if he messes up. But he just lets this Boros Charm like slip by. And eventually, on his turn, he actually main phase Boros Charms, lets me untap. He's got 2 mana open. It's like clear Skullcrack. So I'm not going to cast Kitchen Finks because Kitchen Finks will walk right into the Skullcrack. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cast the Lightning Helix in response to the Skullcrack, and I'll just hit him. I'm at race territory, and I'm actually winning I'm winning right now. When I untap, I simply attack. He's at a low enough life that even if he tries to like bolt me or Searing Blaze me, I assume he's got like Searing Blood in his hand or something. He's got 1 card left. It doesn't kill me. It's not a Boros Charm. He would have taken more damage if he needed to get more, white. So I end up just bolting him, and that's the end of that. So we're here round 3 now, and it's still against Burn. I got to do this replay, like I said, and what ends up happening is he goes for he starts out with a Goblin Guide, which is a good start. Now I'm choosing right here that if he decides that he wants to go ahead and attack with his Goblin Guide, and he doesn't have like a Searing Blood or a Searing Blaze, I'm gonna block. This is something that's come up before that people don't agree with me for, but it's something that I like very much stick to my guns. When you are playing red deck wins, they are turn and a half faster than you. You must be the control. As such, if they offer you a trade for what's essentially a burn stick, it's a creature that attacks you. You have to trade for it. You need to get to the later game. If you manage to get a Knight of the Reliquary out there, you can in a turn or two kill them. But you need to get there. If you don't get there, you're gonna die. I'm not gonna play race and see unless my hand is like Curd Ape, Loom Lion, Wild Noctel, a Tarkus command, and the lands to support it. Like I'm not gonna race because that's dumb. I will play the control. I've got 2 bolts in hand. I can do removal. I've got a Core Firewalker in my opener, which BS Core Firewalker is the literal card right now to kill red deck wins. If they don't use Skullcrack, they can't kill Core Firewalker. And since they're cutting down on Skullcrack, generally now they want to do something along the lines of like probably 4 Tarkus Command, 2 Skullcrack. They can't kill it. And the incremental life gain, you still gain a life even if they Skullcrack. You still gain 1 life off of it. Again, I'm not going to attack here because I'd rather have my dude. Oh, actually, I do attack here because I'm deciding like I can be a little aggressive. I can still block something and still get away with it. If he decides to cast a Swift Spear, I can block it and I still gain a life. I should be a little higher up. I'm really upset that I had to, lose 6 life to gain a certain amount of life with this Core Firewalker. But if I had the correct fetches in my opener, I could have played around that. But you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. Not gonna worry about it too much. I go ahead here and he's gonna go ahead and try to go for the face. So he's like full on to race me, which I think is probably correct. I still gain some life. He doesn't Skullcrack or anything. He should have probably Skullcracked before his spell, ended. Then I would have been able to get some damage in. And I also don't know why he's Skullcracking like this. Like he should Skullcrack first to make sure everything's cleared the way, or he should have attacked and let me blocked and then Skullcracked and then did his thing. I don't think this guy is necessarily the greatest player in the world, but nevertheless, we continue the game. I've also got a point here where I've got 3 burnt red spells in hand, so it's not like it's not below me to go ahead and like use those burn spells so that I can gain life and also get rid of one of his burn sticks, quote unquote, in the way. I'm gonna let him trade if he wants it, not trade, but let him block here. But I'm gonna catch up here. I don't have a lot of time to dilly-dally. I don't have a lot of time to dilly-dally, so I'm just going to go ahead and get away with my attack. I can still block a hasty creature and still block with the Core Firewalker. It's generally not couth to block with your Core Firewalker, but I needed to keep my life total higher. Here at the end of turn, I'm going to go ahead and bolt his Goblin Guide. I could bolt his face, but I choose to bolt his Goblin Guide instead, not even give him a chance to use it as a blocker. And my reasoning was very specific. One, I have an Atarkus command, and Atarkus command can do more damage than the bolt can with terms of Wild Noctil if he doesn't block. And the second reason was if he has a Skullcrack in hand, him using it there, it means that he prevented 1 life, whereas he would prevent 2 life if he uses it on my turn. So that goes on, and he ends up actually having a Skullcrack, so it was the fine play. I end up Atarka commanding. He could have bolted here in response to that, or like shard volleyed my my wild Noctil, but in the end, I still have enough life gain that I can pull it through. He's looking at winning next turn rather than like preventing the loss, which is fine. I mean, again, he's the beatdown deck, so he should be taking a risk like that. And I've got control over the situation. If you'll notice something funny is I'm at 3 life now. I've had 3 red spells in the graveyard, so that was part of it. All right, so it's round 4 now, and all the money was on the line, all of it. I was already happy. I mean, I got prizes, so I wouldn't mind losing this one. But yeah, I mean, dude said good luck. He was being nice in the 4th round. Normally on MTGO, people aren't so super nice on the last round. They're like got high tension or something. I managed to keep this hand. I got 3 mana, so I can cast things like a Kitchen Finks. I can cast things like a Loom Lion. I had early aggression. I also had 2 removal spells. That's really what you want to see in zoos. You want to see anywhere from 2 to 3 lands, 2 removal spells, and 2 creatures. If you can get one of those, if you can get like a hand that's similar to that extra 7th card being literally anything, depending on certain matchups, the better it is. So I saw the Ether Vial on his turn and blue tapping it. So unless this thing is like something like a Eternal Command or something, I knew that this was Merfolk, and it makes sense. Merfolk gets a sort of like a hard rap, but it's actually one of the better decks in Modern. I'd say it's pretty strongly tier 2. It has more numbers than Zoo does right now, so that's not that surprising. I think Zoo is probably the lowest, maybe with the exception of, well, not even with the exception of, Zoo's one of the lower ranked tier 2, not in terms of power, but in terms of playability. Or sorry, playability, popularity. Excuse me, popularity. Probably because if you got a Goyf, why not run, you know, Junk or Little Kid Junk or something like that. Anyways, going on. I just went ahead and had the land tapped. I didn't think I was going to need to bolt and path something. I very much doubted it. I mean, if his Ether Vial was at 2, it would have been a little bit different. I also made sure to crack in this way, so that way I got a green source. So that way, if he decided to kill off my green source, I could still have access to red, and green and white. I've got it all, access to all of it right now. Spreading Seas is annoying though, especially in a deck that is a little bit color hungry like this deck is. But luckily, the way this works is the deck is primarily green sources, so green's really important. Smart players will try to cut you off of green before they cut you off of red. After that, it's red, and then after that is white. Weirdly enough, I just have a very white hand. But yep, so I expected to see some Merfolk Lords coming down, even if he casted another Merfolk Lord. I knew that I could bolt it. Again, I'm just going to be the beatdown here. My hand tells me I'm going to be the beatdown, and I'm just going to use my removal as synergy breakers if I can. But literally, that could have been probably any Merfolk, and I would have killed it out of my way. I got a 4/4 out in the playing field, and it's very likely to become bigger. Here, I'm not going to hold up removal. I'm very well aware that he's going to go ahead and probably put a Merfolk Lord down, and I'm not going to be able to block it. But I figured I'm probably going to gain, you know, I'm going to get the 2 life, so to make that land drop basically not hurt me. So I might as well put that down. I'm going to win by beating down at this point, not by trying to control the field. So yeah, I'm not going to be able to block, but that's fine. And he's also, I figured if I put him in an aggressive enough stance where I have the win on the board, all I need to do is turn my dude sideways, there's a fairly good chance that that he basically couldn't attack. He'd have to wait for it. Although I guess if he didn't have another Merfolk Lord, aka one that gives you know, Island Walk, then he actually I could have blocked with Finks and ended it. I knew he had to do some kind of blocks here, and I would have liked to see if he put down like a Merfolk Lord out of the Ether Vial. I could path it. Not only that, I could also path whatever's blocking me. I wanted to set up this so that way he'd block something, thinking it was probably going to kill something, and then I'd path it, and he'd go ahead and be like, that's fine, but I'm going to also bring in this lord. So I'd use the path on the lord, and then my creatures just would naturally kill these other things. So I was very willing and very ready that if he dropped like a Merfolk Regery here or something, to be able to path that as well. And then I would just naturally eat his Munivault. He'd have 4 cards in hand, but no what do you call them? No Merfolk Lords on play. This deck really needs just basically it's really is like dot lord deck. It's 12 to 16 lords depending on what they're doing. Yeah, but anyways, he ends up Vapor Snagging his own dude. That pretty much gives me the go-ahead that he doesn't have a 2-mana lord in hand. And if he's not doing anything with that 3 mana, which I think the only thing that's 3 in the Merfolk deck is a Thassa and the Merfolk Regery, then that means he's got a Master of Waves that he's trying to do. Vapor Snag here is fine. I mean, I would have liked to deal more damage, you know, but I do end up killing one of his lands, and I also, which is a Merfolk, and I also end up killing. I end up being able to recast it, so it's no real sweat off my back. It would have been better to hit him down to 2, but he blew his Vapor Snag. They'd rather use those offensively if they can, rather than defensively. He's gonna tank for a while, and I believe he casts Master of Waves eventually. He ends up casting a Merfolk Lord as well as the Master of Waves, and then coming in for attack. I mean, he might as well, right? Like, it's not like... I mean, he may have been trying to bait me to block here, but he might as well just go for it, especially since it's it's unblockable, so he couldn't have bait me to block. But he had blockers, and he had to assume that if I didn't have the Path to Exile, it's pretty much the end of the game. I did have the Path to Exile, so I got rid of all that stuff, sent him back to the Stone Age. And with that out of the way, I can just attack. If anything lands, I can bolt it. I do a little bit of a weird shuffle here, where I'm like thinking, do I bolt him afterwards, or do I not bolt him? In the weird case that I had like a Pact of Negotiation, or some kind of like, I don't know, like Slaughter Pact, something crazy. It would have been better to bolt his Merfolk Lord, so that way he would still have to, it would stop him from being able to negate all the damages. I have a ton of sideboard stuff from Merfolk. As I was sideboarding, I realized it's not like Zoo generally has a good game against Merfolk anyways, but yeah, I got Choke, Volcanic Fallout, and Rending Volley. All of those are excellent against Merfolk, especially if they have something like the Kira Glass Spinner. I pull out the Atarka's Command, because Atarka's Command is really, really good when you're being aggressive and not so great other places. So against like control decks, tempo decks, those are really what you want to bring them in. If you're bringing them in against like an aggressive tempo deck that is like Merfolk, you don't really want it. You'd rather have removal. Because you got to get rid of their creatures on their own are not that powerful, but their creatures together are in fact a little bit too powerful. So I end up siding out that, and I also side out one Kitchen Finks, because it's a little bit top end. Kitchen Finks doesn't necessarily die to Volcanic Fallout, but it does die once at least. And I'm not really playing the control, which is where the Kitchen Finks would be better. So I side the Kitchen Finks out. I also end up getting a hand that doesn't have like good mana, so I've got to mull that over. Here we got a Curse Catcher. It kind of stinks. I got to play around this Curse Catcher during the game, because I would rather just bolt their Merfolk Lord than leave that Curse Catcher. But as I'm not on the play, it's sort of like out of sequence, and Curse Catcher can actually really get you. So I end up just killing the Curse Catcher just because I don't want it on the board. It's going to stop me from Lightning Helixing anyways. And I want to have a turn 2 Tarmogoyf if at all humanly possible. Luckily, I drew the fetch land here, and I can keep my mana going. I drew some more land. There's a problem. I'm going to put this out here earlier. I lose this game, and the reason why I lose this game is because I actually... I get a little crazy with my mana. I got a little worried, to be honest with you, because of Spreading Seas. Against Blood Moon, I'm not so worried because I can get out of it. I can also, still cast things. But the big thing is that not only can I wiggle my way out of it, but I can't do anything with an island, and it also turns off some of my creatures. So that's a distinct problem here. And as such, I end up going for dual lands, so that way, like, if you were to Spreading Seas here again, then I can go ahead and I can crack these fetch lands to find the correct mana, and if he ends up Spreading Seasing after I've already cracked all the fetch lands, well, I'm still fine. And I end up being about 2 damage. If I had that 2 damage, I probably, if I didn't take it, I would have been at 2 at the very end of the game and won the game. But I ended up not doing that and losing the game because I end the game at 0 life. So it's not necessarily the best thing to do. I end up casting the Kitchen Finks to sort of gain some of my life back from that damage that I took off my own lands, and my reasoning for using it here too is not necessarily that I can block because I knew a Merfolk Lord was going to come down, but for the fact that next turn I can cast Tarmogoyf and a Lightning Bolt. Sorry, Lightning Helix. So that's my reasoning for going here. A Merfolk Lord comes down and swings and takes a chunk out of my life total. Here's the play that I'm talking about. I end up going for a Sacred Foundry because I'm like, well, I don't want to be screwed off of the what do you call it? Spreading Seas, and he does also dismember away one of my Tarmogoyfs. Reason I also, just so y'all know, if you don't know, when you have a Curse Catcher out, why you use your removal first and then you cast your creature, is so that way Curse Catcher doesn't get ya. And I have a Path to Exile. I don't have open mana for it, so I could have, if I had the open mana, maybe things could have been different. I could have instead of Lightning Helix. Like, I don't know. I don't actually know. I'm actually pretty disappointed in myself in this game. He tanks for a while, but then decides to go for damage, which is probably what he should have done. I couldn't block because it's unblockability. I draw a creature here, which is nice. He Vapor Snags me. I'm at 2 life. I end up recasting it, but I can also... The big thing is that I can cast my Path to Exile, get rid of his dude, and unless he's got yet another Lord, and he's only got 2 cards in hand, so he might not have a Lord, I am in pretty good shape. I mean, I got some beaters. He's at 7. He can't attack through me unless he's got the Merfolk Lord. So I'm thinking this is pretty good. Here brings in a Kira, and I go, oh crap, that's gonna win next turn. It's gonna swing for 2. But then here's the part that changes the game. Notice my life total is 2. I draw myself a Volcanic Fallout. For a second, I'm like, oh my god, I got this. GG, woo, I've got it, But I then realized very quickly after I cast it, I'm losing next turn anyways, mind you, that I am at 0 life, so I can't win. But if I did not take this Shockland damage, this literal one right here, and I got a basic like I was thinking about doing so that I could save my life total, I would have been at 4, went down to 2, this would have killed, this would have died, went back up to 4 life, swung for 3 and 3, and he would have been dead. But that's my own mistake. Moving on, I don't change anything on the side. He's changing some stuff on the side a lot, though. And we play again. I end up taking this hand. It's a good hand. It's got Volcanic Fallout, I figure, is like a pretty good way to end it. It's got a bunch of removal. I've got a Luxodon Smiter, which can't be countered, which is sometimes relevant in these matchups. And then I end up just saying like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna be kind of the control in this. Unless he starts beating down literally, and one of the things is he doesn't have the Vial. As he doesn't have Vial, there's actually a very good chance of me being able to regain tempo. The problem is I would need to, with this hand, is I need to put down creatures, and then I also need to remove stuff. And he's also got a Curse Catcher, which is kind of annoying. But I have the Volcanic Fallout, which should clean up, theoretically. Should clean up the board. If it's a 2-for-1, that's really good. If it's a 3-for-1, that's even better. I got 2 Path to Exiles after that to sort of keep going. But this ends up becoming a very, very complicated game that I'm pretty happy that I won. Tidebender Mage comes in, taps down, my creature. This is kind of annoying in the fact that I need that creature. I need a creature to attack. I've already taken some pain off my own lands, so it's like it's his aggression. It's very weird, the Merfolk matchup, because sometimes you gotta play tempo, sometimes you gotta play control, sometimes you gotta play aggro. It really depends on what their setup is. If they're like nothing but dot lord deck, then they're aggro, so you're going to want to be, the control. If they're a tempo deck, then you want to play aggro. If they're like an aggressive tempo deck, then you kind of want to play tempo because you've got more removal spells than they do. So it's a really interesting match depending on what your position of your deck is and what your hand that you draw is and what their deck is. A lot of interactivity in it. By interactivity, I should clarify. I don't mean interactivity. I mean like there's a lot of decisions that you need to make as a zoo player. I don't see any lords yet, so I'm not like particularly upset. He does end up putting out this Vial, which is kind of annoying. I do make a huge mistake here, which is totally my fault. But in the end, I mean, I think while this was the wrong play, I managed to make the better of it. I can honestly say that this was the wrong play. But I end up attacking. I get the Exalted Trigger off of it. I'm leaving myself wide open. He knows that I have Volcanic Fallout. So he probably is expecting this Volcanic Fallout to come to pass. But the mistake I make is this, and I think this is a tactical mistake, which in the end worked out well for me, but it was a mistake, is that I've got 4 mana, and it only costs 3 mana to Volcanic Fallout. Now, if I wanted to, in Paper Magic, and this is where my mistake came in Paper Magic, I can say Volcanic Fallout before this spell resolves. I'm going to go ahead and crack my Qasali Pride Mage and destroy your Ether Vial. And I even talk about it here. You can see my mouse going crazy over it. And then it happens, and I'm like, oh god, I didn't do it, and that's like my own fault, for not doing that. And if I stopped this Ether Vial, maybe it would stop some stuff earlier. I don't know. But it ends up being weird. I got to crack Emergency because I'm like, oh crap, this is going to be a Chalice for the Void for 1. No reason to path my own dude. So I guess I'm going to have to bolt him in the face, He ends up not really using this Vial either. So like it was like alright that I missed it. And that 3 damage becomes relevant later on. Yeah, and then a Tidebender Mage comes down, and I'm like, jeez, man, jeez Louise. I draw a Pride Mage, and I go, oh, thank God I got a Pride Mage. I can, like, wiggle my way out of this. Here's what'll happen. I'll break the, at the end of his turn, I'll break his Chalice. I'll path his Tidebender Mage. My dude will untap. I'll swing and start killing him again. He's got only 2 cards left in hand, so I'm not too worried. I mean, he's going to drop down a 3 cards in hand. He's going to drop down a Lord and then put a Merfolk, and he's going to activate his Mutavault. Well, that's fine. I can just path his Lord then, and, I'm at parity. I'm losing my cards in hand, but he's, left with 1 card in hand, an Ether Vial. It's not really doing very much, and 3 mana, and meanwhile, I've got a Luxodon Smiter on the board, So I'm figuring this is like, alright, the hump is over, and this guy tanks quite a long time thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know why he's tanking. Really long time. finally, he ends up making a move here, and his move is actually I gotta give him some credit for his move. He's smart. I mean, he deserves to be at the last round. He ends up casting a Chalice of the Void for 1, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, a Chalice of the Void for 1 again? How many chalices are in this guy's hand, you know? Whatever, I guess this is fine. I crack it. I still path the thing out. You know, he still has the ability to put a Merfolk Lord into play. I don't know what the 2 cards in his hands are, so if he's got a Merfolk Lord, that kind of stinks, because I should have broken that vial, you know. But then he dismembers my guy, and I go, oh damn it, you know. Well, he's at 6, and I'm like, well, maybe I can bolt him out. And then I go, wait, no, I can't bolt him out because I can't cast it. And of course, I draw a bolt, and I go, like, this is shitty. Like, I could win if I draw a bolt. If I draw a helix, I only have, like, I think 1 more helix in play. No, I got 2 helixes left in my deck. I don't have any Natarka's commands anymore. I did make my deck very 1-drop heavy. It's not normally that Chalice of the Void kills me, but then this guy comes out and I go, oh god, I'm really stupid dead. I know it's only bringing out, you know, 1 token, but it's basically he's got 4 power on the board. And then I draw like a pride or a I draw another Kurt Ape, and I go like, yep, this is slow motion, you know. Well, maybe, just maybe, if I manage to draw 2, like a Pride Mage, I can blow it up, and then I can bolt and path, you know. Maybe if I draw Pride Mage, that could be my out. If I somehow manage to draw 2 Helixes, that's another out. You know, I've got like 2 turns. I can maybe do it. And then, out of all the things that come out, it's like another Chalice of the Void. And I go, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And I'm like freaking out a little bit, and I go like, I jokingly tell this guy, like, I can't believe 3 Chalices of the Void. That's got to be all of the ones in your sideboard. It's gotta be. Then somewhere while he's attacking, I'm like, wait a second. I do have the company, and he's at 6 life, so if this doesn't kill me, and he doesn't counterspell, he's got 2 cards in hand, I'm going to go ahead and company. Maybe I'll find Pride Mage. And I ended up finding a Wild Noctowl and a Tarmogoyf. Weirdly enough, the Rending Volley, I was thinking about it as I was clicking out at it. Rending Volley would have actually worked because it can't be prevented or countered, so it wouldn't have been countered by the what do you call it? But yeah, these guys can block. So I go like, whoa, do I have this? Did I suddenly win out of nowhere? And he lets me pass the turn, so and those guys die, so I'm like, no way. You know, Tarmogoyf is a 4/5, and this is a 3/3, so what is he going to do? Is pass something back into my hand? No, he ends up Mutavaulting. And I go, okay, well, he can't kill anything with that Mutavault, unless he's got a Lord in hand. So I'm waiting for the Lord to come down. He ends up blocking Tarmogoyf. And that happens, and I go, oh, okay, I guess that's what happens, you know? And I'm like, all right, so he's gonna put down some lords, or maybe he's got another master of waves. I can't be winning right now. I really can't. And then I win the game. So I am just utterly mind blown that I managed to pull that one out with the the Collected Community. But turns out Collected Community can cast things through a Chalice of the Void. It's I don't know. I don't know if I'm the first one to come up with that predicament. Now that, you know, that Dragons has been out for a grand total of like 2 days online, but turns out that's something that it can do.